So it looks like there's a public holiday in France, so a few people might not join us.
Hello.
Oh, like, is it not a public holiday in Switzerland as well as France?
Well, it's a holiday for almost everybody excepting my company, apparently, but we get a day off.
I'm familiar with those. And let me share my screen. Just running a little behind schedule. There we go. So Baptiste is out. So Baptiste and I don't really have stuff that we can discuss if he's not here. So I'll have to catch up with him tomorrow on some of the error telemetry stuff. I just wanted to give a quick update on my side. Jesse, I know I'm behind on giving you an example, YAML, this prototype output format that's on my plate today, now that I'm finally back at the office.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've moved on to other things anyway, so.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter.
Well, it would be nice to see it anyway, because we have some related stories which could benefit from a unified format.
Okay. So Jesse, assuming you've got other stuff on your plate this week, do we have any essential stuff that we should discuss?
I mean, nothing for me.
Okay, that's fine. Well, look, are there things that if aside from this ticket, which we might have some overlap on, I don't see things here that are related to you. Are there things that I should keep in mind when Baptiste and I get started tomorrow?
Well, I haven't put the related stories into Essentials dashboard yet, but okay. One thing which is related is acceptance test harness patches being done by Raul. So, I mean, but we need to reload ATH after each plugin installation from the page. So this is one thing which would be really helpful, because currently it breaks the Essentials test flow in many cases.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I also have an action item on my side to improve packaging of the core, because currently there are issues with class loading when you run the current core in Jenkins test harness. So I will be rebuilding the core instead of patching jars.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope to deliver it maybe in a few weeks, but yeah, the existing pull requests should work fine even with the current state of CDP.
Gotcha. Okay. So the acceptance test harness stuff, is that causing those outstanding patches, are those causing failures on ci.jenkins.io, or are they just something that you and Raul noticed that still needed to be done?
So the problem is with installation flow. So in ATH, you can say that a particular test requires a plugin to be installed.
Yeah.
And we get into the issue because custom work packager may already produce a work file which bundles this plugin. And it means that if you install a newer version, just due to dependency or whatever, you need to reload to Jenkins. Otherwise, it won't work. And although ETH itself has logic which allows to implement that, we need integration in pipeline library in order to enforce this logic by default.
Okay.
So it's just a small matter of programming. It's not something really unsupported.
Okay. I'm gonna deal with this later. Hey, yeah, will you ping me with the that and the JTH tickets once you get them? I just want to make sure I'm keeping an eye on them. I don't think it's gonna block anything I'm doing this week though.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'll check the tickets and link them to the dashboard.
Okay, that'd be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And Raul, you'd created a whole bunch of tickets.
Yeah.
For,
so, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So basically, for the quality bar, I have the impression that you and Baptiste have the idea it was like a test coverage thing or something like that. Is a little bit more. So it's just a list of tasks that need to be done before saying, okay, it's safe to release. So I have created a draft for that, and I have created tickets for every task there, and a wiki page that lists all of them, so you can have a very quick intro to the current status. And all the tickets you are seeing there are related to one of the tasks in the quality bar I have created. So I'm not sure to which one assign those tasks at this moment. I think this is something to decide. And I am also not sure about the teaming. There are 3 tasks that I understand are mandatory and others that are good to have.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the reason I have created all these tickets. I have put them on Milestone 1 post just to have visibility today so we can discuss them if you want. But
So I just need to triage these.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go through that after the call then. Why is this one green?
Maybe some of them are already done. If that is the case, we can just mark as done or duplicate, put the proper link on the quality bar and go ahead.
When you say quality bar, is this a wiki page you have somewhere?
Yeah, it's on the, let me share with you, it's on the wiki page.
I think I see it in Gitter.
It's linked on the ticket.
This guy.
Let me see. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So that is a draft of a quality bar, the same way we have been doing. And as you can see, the tasks are more like generic things, and the ticket are just to track the progress of them. So take a look, create the tickets, and if any feedback you may want. All of this is obviously open to discussion, and just take a look.
Okay. I think I'll definitely be getting to this today. And just given that you're a few hours ahead of me, we might just have to talk about this tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we can talk tomorrow morning. No problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be interesting to have Patty's here. Yeah. I have, as you can see, I have assigned some people to the must-have ones, and for the others to be decided because they are not so urgent, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Yeah. May is apparently a month filled with holidays in France. Baptiste warned me about that in April. So yeah, we'll probably I'll just ping you on Gitter tomorrow. We might just need to jump in a hangout really quick once Baptiste is back, and we can talk about this. I'll do a first level triage of some of this stuff. I think Baptiste and I will have to have a debate on what counts as a P1.
Yeah, but we need that list because that is the first thing. We can just go to code coverage without knowing what is the bare minimum we need.
Right. So Raul, I'm not sure if you've been following a thread that got much larger than I anticipated that I had started on the Jenkins dev list around versioning configuration as code schemas. Did you see that thread? Okay.
I'm not sure enough.
So Oleg and I sort of briefly mentioned it in Gitter just before this, but the biggest concern that I have, and just to give you a summary of the thread, is I was thinking about backwards compatibility of the configuration as code YAML that we rely on, and how we would know from one version of a plugin or another whether our configuration fields were still applicable and still valid. And so I don't know if this is the opinion of one of the developers, whether or not I agree with it, is that you just need to test this before you do any upgrades, no problem. So I'm not sure if this is if I have a configuration setting that says, you know, like right now we have one that says the metrics URL for the metrics plugin should be this, you know, http example.com, blah, 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 right? With those sorts of configurations, I'm not sure if there's a good way that we have for testing that, except for the acceptance test harness tooling. And I wanted to ask you if there was something that you had a better idea of how we would test that our configuration is being correctly applied.
Do you plan to allow users of Jenkins Essentials to do their own configuration? Because if you do, then you get into a chicken and egg problem.
To me, that's far less my concern. I mean, there's nothing I can do that right now that would prevent somebody from being able to use configuration as code, because we're using it.
Yeah, so just apply just make sure that whatever process applies the configuration happens before the health check complete, right?
Yeah.
If it fails, then you don't upgrade.
Yeah, it should be so that your health check correctly checks states of all components. But whatever works.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at the bread and thinking how to. I absolutely agree with Jesse here. We need to do that check before the update. I think it's easy to check on a pure request basis. We can use the custom war packager and try to build wars and after that run ATH or even PCT, because now we can use a custom war for the JTH. So that is another way of testing.
Yeah, but it doesn't resolve the problem. Of course, okay, you discover a compatibility issue. What you're going to do? For example, we have a security release, and the only thing we know after running spot checks that this security release cannot be applied to the Jenkins Essentials instance.
So what I'm most interested in is where we can apply the easiest level of testing. Just because I think, like, if we're relying on health checks, that's a little bit further away from the developer making the change, I guess, than I would like. But ACH is really, really heavyweight, and I understand that. I wanted to sort of defer to you, Raul, for where we could add testing to make sure that our configs are correct.
Yeah, I'm going to think about that. I'm going to create one ticket for that. And
okay. And Jesse, you were going to say, sorry.
Yeah, again, it depends on whether you're considering user configurations are only things that are baked into Essentials itself. But in general, I think we'll assume that users will have their own declarative configurations in place. And we can't know exactly what they might have configured, and they might have configured fairly exotic features and plugins we don't pay that much attention to. So I think we just need to, it seems most straightforward just to include this as part of a health check. Although, I mean, we can also, you know, have static analysis kinds of tests that cover very central configuration, I suppose. Generate, like we could generate an example configuration using some earlier snapshot and then, you know, check whether it still applies after some update or something. And if we see problems, then we correct. But
so sorry, Jesse, just from my understanding, this configuration is going to be on the instances that are going to be updated. So every instance can have different configurations. Is that true?
So we're going to have, we'll have the primary configuration, which will be the same for every instance provided by Jenkins Essentials, right? But there may be, as Oleg is pointing out, users may also add their own YAML-based configuration. I'm less concerned about that because it's sort of right now there's no users, first of all. But it's sort of, you know, infinite possibility there.
Yeah, so it's not maintainable from our point of view, but at least basic configuration is something we could test.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree with Oleg. Okay. Now I have a clear understanding. Thanks.
And one of follow-up tasks would be whatever you do for testing in Jenkins Essentials flow, it may make sense to contact the security team and to discuss how we would test Essentials for security releases, so that issues don't appear when we ship the LTS release with security fixes. We need to know about potential integration issues in advance, so that Essentials users are not left behind if there is a compatibility issue.
Danielle and I have discussed this a little bit, but we haven't set out a plan yet, just because we've both been busy doing other things.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that configuration as code plugin skips over inapplicable configuration sections, but logs a warning about them to the system log. Then we don't need to do any custom development for this. It would just show up from a completely generic test that asserts that a stock Essentials instance starts up without warnings. And same for the upgrade check. If your upgrade check says warnings force us to cancel the upgrade, then that handles this case.
Yeah, unfortunately, currently configuration as code engine is not flexible enough. So, for example, if you had an optional field in old style way, so you have a data-bound constructor, you add a new field to the class, you deprecate old constructor, create a new one. So after that, configuration as code plugin stops working for you. And it happened for some critical fields already. Since 2.60, obviously it's a technical issue which can be resolved, but yeah, there are other compatibility concerns which render configuration of code as completely unreliable for upgrades. It's not a minor risk; it's a major risk for now.
So Oleg, you mentioned that you and Evelina are going to be meeting up tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, next week.
Next week, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely in my agenda because I tried using configuration as code for my instances. It's not flying, so I have a lot of topics to discuss, and compatibility is in the top.
Okay. Well, you just let me know If there's anything you need ahead of that discussion, and then just let me know what happens.
Yeah, I should mention that I just recently did a change to pipeline step, which involved compatibly changing the groovy form by which the step may be invoked without touching the stapler binding, which is what you'd see in UI or something like that. That's possible because the pipeline API is defined an abstraction layer which you can override for that binding. As far as I know, I'm not clear whether there is a comparable feature in configuration as code. I know there's some sort of custom binding mechanism. I don't know if it's practical to use yet or not.
Yeah, for now, it just generates pipelines using job.sl. So I assume it will be working fine as long as you retain syntax compatibility.
No, I was talking about the process of compatibly changing how you define the YAML form for some particular setting. If there's some way that a developer can write a manual override that can compatibly switch older YAML to a new semantics, then interesting.
Oleg, if there's anything you need from me next week, but around that meeting, just let me know. I will not be traveling at that point. Which would be great.
Okay, thank you. I do not know what exactly I may need, but yeah, I have a week for that.
So I think that's all I really wanted to go through is this quality bar and bring up the configuration as code topic. Raul, do you have other things we need to discuss today?
Nope.
And Oleg and Jesse, I assume the same? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, nothing from me.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks y'all for joining. Raul, Baptiste, and I will probably be chatting with you tomorrow morning about some of the quality stuff once he's back from his joyous French public holiday. And I'll see y'all later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.